The snow fell softly on the city streets that New Year's Eve, covering everything in a blanket of white silence. Lights twinkled in shop windows and laughter echoed from nearby restaurants, but one man stood alone near the edge of the park, his overcoat dusted with snow, his eyes lost in the distance. He was Michael Layden, a billionaire CEO whose name graced magazines, financial columns, and television interviews. But tonight, despite all his fame and fortune, Michael felt utterly invisible. The year had taken more from him than it had given. A bitter divorce, a strained relationship with his daughter, and a crushing loneliness that no business empire could fill had left Michael feeling like a hollow version of himself. For once, he didn't want to be around luxury or high society parties. He just wanted to be human again, if only he remembered how. As he took a seat on a frosty bench, staring at the carousel spinning in the park, he didn't notice the small figure approaching him. A little girl, no more than 6 or 7, wearing a bright red coat and mismatched gloves, stood a few feet away. Her boots crunched softly in the snow as she looked at him with innocent curiosity. "You look sad, mister," she said, her voice soft but clear. Michael blinked, startled. He forced a smile, the kind he used in boardrooms and interviews. "Do I?" She nodded. "You do. Wanna meet my mommy?" The question struck him as odd. He hesitated. "Why?" "Because she gives hugs that fix anything," the girl said simply. "Even sadness." Michael let out a dry chuckle, unsure what to make of the situation. But something about the child, her confidence, her warmth, tugged at something long dormant in him. Against all logic, he said, "All right. Lead the way." The little girl took his gloved hand and led him through the park, past the swings and trees strung with lights, until they reached a modest soup kitchen just off the main street. The building was old but full of life, volunteers moving briskly, families sitting around folding tables, steam rising from bowls of hot soup. Inside, the warmth hit him immediately, not just physical, but emotional. People smiled, laughed, shared stories. It was a stark contrast to the sterile loneliness of his penthouse. The girl pulled him toward the back, where a woman was refilling cups with cocoa. She was in her early 30s, her eyes tired but kind, her smile radiant despite the exhaustion. "Mommy," the girl called out. The woman turned, and when she saw Michael, something unreadable flashed in her eyes. But she smiled. "Hi, I'm sorry, is my daughter bothering you?" "Not at all," Michael said quickly. "Actually, she just offered to fix my sadness." The woman laughed. "She believes hugs are magic." "Sometimes they are," he murmured. They introduced themselves. Her name was Claire. She was a nurse by training, now volunteering most of her time to the shelter since losing her job due to hospital cutbacks. The little girl was Lily, her daughter. They had been living on modest means for years, scraping by, yet giving so much more than they ever received. As the night unfolded, Michael stayed. He helped serve food, talked with people, even found himself laughing. Claire and Lily moved through the room like light, offering comfort, warmth, and simple human kindness. No one knew who he was. No one asked what he did. He was just another soul among them, and for the first time in years, he felt like he belonged. Later that evening, as midnight approached, everyone gathered in the main hall for a countdown. Claire stood next to him, her hand brushing his arm. "Thank you for being here tonight. You looked like you needed a place to be." He turned to her, eyes soft. "I did, more than I realized." When the clock struck 12, and the room erupted in cheers, Michael found himself hugging Lily, then Claire. And for the first time in what felt like forever, he didn't feel alone. Over the weeks that followed, Michael kept visiting the shelter, first anonymously, then as himself. He didn't come with cameras or grand donations. He came to help, to listen, to heal. His bond with Claire and Lily deepened. They welcomed him not for his wealth, but for his heart. He started rediscovering the man he had lost somewhere along the path of success. One evening, he took Claire and Lily to the carousel in the park, the same one from New Year's Eve. As the lights whirled and music played, he watched them ride, their laughter mingling with the winter air. "You saved me," he told Claire afterward as they walked side by side. She looked up, surprised. "I think you were just ready to be found." Eventually, Michael did donate, quietly, without fanfare. He helped Claire reopen a free clinic. He supported the soup kitchen, funded school programs, and hired volunteers who needed jobs. But more importantly, he became part of their lives, not as a CEO, but as a man who found redemption in the simplest human connection. 1 year later, on New Year's Eve, Michael stood again in the park. This time, Lily ran into his arms, squealing with joy. Claire stood nearby, smiling. The three of them watched the snow fall together, not as strangers, but as a family forged by kindness. The world may have known Michael Layton as a titan of industry. But in that little corner of the city, he was just a man who had been saved by a child's offer to meet her mommy, and the hug that truly fixed everything. And sometimes, that's all it takes. Not a fortune, not fame, just someone who sees the sadness behind your smile, and offers a hand to hold through the storm. In the end, it wasn't the millions he earned that made Michael's life meaningful, it was the moment he said yes to a little girl who saw him not as a CEO, but as someone who simply needed to feel loved again. And that changed everything.